everyone, and welcome to It's a Good Reads presents its first annual book awards presentation, The Bookies. So, grab up that drink, snag that popcorn, get cozy, and let's settle in to find out who won Best and Worst Books of the Year. And to start off, we have Best Romance. This year, our honorable mentions are Lothair, All I Want for Christmas, Kiss Her Once for Me, and The Beautiful Ones. All great romantic books that hit all the feels, all the check marks needed to make it through the round. But as you know, with all book presentations, there can only be one winner, and our winner for Best Romance is Lothair, which was actually a very great read. I really love the enemy to lovers trope with that fated soulmates. It was extremely spicy, very spicy. The type of spice that makes your cheeks get real red as you're reading it. Good times. But the plot was excellent, great characters, great character development, which was really nice, and just an overall great dark romantic read. I read this in 2 days, so I really enjoyed it. And I gotta say, if you haven't read this, I highly recommend. Especially if you're into the dark romance, this is definitely the book for you. So, Best Romance, Lothair. Congratulations. You were truly the best. Which then leads us to our 2-star misfortune. And in this category, this is a book that was going around on the Bookstagram or Book Talk that was receiving a bunch of hype. Great reviews, just gushing. Everyone loved it. No honorable mentions for this particular category because we're just going to get right into it. So, for the 2-star misfortune, our winner is The Hour of the Witch. Now, the most misfortunate thing about this book is that the main character is unlikable. The writing, great. The plot to the actual story, pretty damn good. But I cannot get past Mary Deerfield. I don't know why. I find her extremely unlikable. Probably because she's fucking dumb. But, you know, it is what it is. And I gotta say, Hour of the Witch, you were the misfortune. But that just leads us into the best, and the best of the best of nonfiction. Now, for this category, there can only be one. And since there can only be one, with no real honorable mention, our nonfiction winner of the year goes to Alex Trebek. The answer is A Reflection of My Life. You were truly the best. And it's Alex Trebek. How could he not be the best? Granted, this was the only nonfiction book that we read this year, so he did win this category single-handedly. But if you were an 80s and 90s baby and you grew up with Alex Trebek in your home, you need to read this book. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll learn facts about him that you didn't know that you needed. I promise you, this is a book for every shelf. Rest in peace, Alex Trebek. You were truly the best. Which leads us into Best Newly Discovered Author. This category goes to an author that not only do I have multiple books by them, but this was an author I couldn't help but devour. I didn't know about till I started this Bookstagram, and I gotta say, I could not be more thrilled that the best newly discovered author is Sylvia Maruna Garcia, the author of Mexican Gothic and The Beautiful Ones. Both excellent reads. She obviously has has a lot more books. Currently, I only have 2, but my Kindle has at least 3 more of her books that I plan on getting to. She has quickly become a favorite of mine. I love her writing style. I love her characters. I also love that all her books are set in Mexico, which is so good because I am about the Hispanic culture. I love everything that has to do with it. It's just so fascinating and so rich in history, and her books are amazing. So Sylvia, congratulations, my dear. You were truly one of the best. And speaking of best, my personal favorite, the horror genre. Because what amazing horror books did we not read? Mexican Gothic, The Troop, Stolen Tongues, Chasing the Dead. I'm sorry, Bone by Bone. And the list can go on and on. This was a hard category to choose from, but as I said before, there can only be one. And for best horror goes to Stolen Tongues, a great novel. If you have not read this, you need to read this. It had everything. Everything. It was so good. So good. I think about this book quite often. It was very scary. It felt so real. The only slight complaint that it was a slightly happier ending than I would have appreciated, but not enough so that I wouldn't read this again. In fact, I've already read this twice since I read it the first time. It's that good. So, Stolen Tongues, congratulations, for you were truly the scariest. To which then leads us in to author most likely to not be read again. And while there weren't very many recipients in this particular category, I will say that I was very unimpressed with certain books. And to just kind of get to the point, the winner for author most likely to never be read again is Colleen Hoover. Sorry, Coho. You truly sucked. And no, there is no explanation. Sorry. Which then leads us into best thriller. Now, I love thriller books just as much as I love my horror books. And for best thriller, it really came down to a book that hit all the notes. I thought about it. I talked about it. I just couldn't let this book go. And the winner for best thriller is The Devil in the Dark Water, which was an excellent book. Very Sherlock Holmes and Watson-like, but if Watson was to be the Sherlock and he's solving the case, and Sherlock was basically locked up on this giant boat in the brig in a real cramped, nasty quarter. God, it was so good. It was so good. And I also really liked how the legend of Old Tom played into this with like the devil and then the mutiny of the crew. Excellent book. Very high stakes. And just an overall gripping read. I believe this is Stewart's second novel. I have not read his first one, but if it's anything as good as The Devil in the Dark Water was, I know I will not be disappointed. So, congratulations to The Devil in the Dark Water. You were truly the best of the thrills. And speaking of the best debut author of 2022. This is an author and book that I just adored. They currently don't have any more books right now, except they are coming out soon in 2023. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that. And the recipient of Best Debut Author of 2022 is Isabel Canas of the Hacienda, which was an excellent book. If you have not read this, you are missing out, and you need to pause this video right now, get on your Amazon account, and order this book. If you got Prime, have it for next day shipping, because you are missing out if you have not read this book. It is so good. It hits all of the horror, haunted, classic, can't even talk right. This book gets me every time. It's just so good. It has the forbidden romance, it has the scares, it has a main character who actually isn't an idiot and is like, oh no, like, things are bad, like, we gotta fix this. Very strong female lead, and I actually really liked how the ending played out. I liked that nothing really worked out for everybody, which was a nice change. So, I gotta say, Isabel Canas, congratulations to being my best debut. You certainly deserve it. And speaking of best historical. Now, I do love me some historical fiction books. I don't read too many too often because I am a little picky. But there was one book that was a cut above the rest. A book that was so good and just so... Is there any other word for it? So, without further ado, my friends, the best historical book of 2022 was Pirates Latitude. And how could it not be? This book had everything. Jamaica, 1665. Pirates. Pirates stealing gold. Is there anything else that you need to know? No. Other than that, if you have not read this book and do not have it on your bookshelf, you need to get it. I mean, come on now. How can you not, first of all, love this cover? And secondly, how do you not have a soft spot for pirates? Come on now. Jack Sparrow would be disappointed in you if you did not read this book. So, without much else being said, Pirate Latitudes, congratulations for being the best of the historical realm. You were truly memorable. Which now brings us into our final three categories. And to start off, we have Fan Favorite. Now, Fan Favorite is chosen by you, the fans, from Facebook, Instagram. We did our votes, you did your polls. You all had multiple choices to pick from, but there was only one winner. One clear, runaway winner that I saw coming a mile away. I'm sure y'all did too. And without further ado, for Fan Favorite is Verity by Colleen Hoover. Y'all loved this book. I mean, she was a clear winner right out of Jump Street. The first hour I had this up, she already had 30 votes. And I think she walked away with 82% of all the votes, and about 300 people voted. So, congratulations. You were the fan favorite. Which leads us into my choice of book of the year. Now, this is the book that I absolutely loved. This is a book that I will stand on a hill and die on to tell people that you need to read this book. We had a bunch of great ones this year. In fact, we had one clear-cut winner that I was very convinced of would win at this point. But at last minute, did we have such a surprise. And for book of the year is The Troop by Nick Cutter. This book was amazing. It had everything. Terrifying. Makes you really think. I already don't like worms, so I'm definitely not going to be about them now. Even more upset about them than I normally would be. Honestly, if I was one of the kids in this book, I probably wouldn't make it to even the very first. I'd be the first one gone. Maybe second one, first for sure though. There'd be no way. And the ending, brutal. I kind of sort of saw it coming. I didn't think anybody was going to survive. But for the one kid that got it, right in that last 20 pages, oh, I felt bad for you, Newt. That sucked, kid, for sure. But I gotta say, this, if you are a fan of horror, this is the book for you. I promise you. It makes you think. It will keep you up at night. You're definitely going to want to leave the TV on at night. I certainly did after reading this. And I like to sleep in darkness. And that was not happening. So, The Troop, Nick Cutter. I tip my hat off to you, sir, for you truly were the best of the year. Which leaves us with the worst book of the year. Now, this book was the book that I hated. I have nothing but terrible things to say about this book. I don't care for it. It was a disappointment in the highest regards. And, to be quite frank, probably my personal favorite category. And the winner of Worst Book of the Year is Verity by Colleen Hoover. Thank you so much for sucking. This book was awful. I hated it. I predicted this entire book within the first 3 chapters. And if you tell me that this book was a work of art, you're wrong. Straight up. As much as I love and appreciate all of you, I will ride and die on this hill of Verity being the worst. And that's it, bookworms. That is our first annual Bookies.